to Leaders of Tomorrow Season 10. It's been 10 seasons of empowering you, 10 seasons of celebrating small businesses such as yourself. I'm Sunanda Jaiseelan. On the show tonight, we're bringing you a series of very special conversations with India's biggest unicorns, putting them in the spotlight, bringing you their highs, their lows, their learnings, their opportunities and challenges as we count down to the Leaders of Tomorrow Awards here on the show. Tonight, two such unicorns in the hot seat. First up is Open. We're also in conversation with No Broker. In this first interview, I caught up with Anish Achyutan, co-founder and CEO of Open, asking him about what exactly neobanking is, his advice as far as fundraising for small businesses is concerned, what it means to be a unicorn, and also about his very unique personal story. He's a high school dropout and how that has influenced the way he hires. Listen in. Anish, thank you so much for joining us here on the Leaders of Tomorrow. You know, you're making your debut with us here on the show, and such fantastic work, and you have a fantastic journey. So it's good having you here.
Thanks, Sunanda, for having me on your show.
First of all, congratulations on turning unicorn earlier this year. And what has this journey been like for you? This is, of course, your fifth venture that you are doing. And personally and professionally, turning unicorn, what did that mean for you?
Turning a unicorn was never a milestone, or we never aspired to actually sing. But definitely when we came to know that, okay, we are the 100th unicorn and become $1 billion enterprise, it was a special feeling for the entire team. We started with a 10-member team, and today we are a 500 plus team. For the entire team, it was a really a different feeling and different sort of an excitement. And yeah, so that was how the unicorn feeling was for us.
But you're no stranger when it comes to the fintech space and to the entrepreneurial world. This is your fourth venture?
This is the fifth venture.
Your fifth venture. Yeah. What is it meant to be a serial entrepreneur, and especially because you've seen the evolution of the fintech space? What has that professional and the personal journey been like for you?
So maybe I can start with my personal journey first. So I started my career in 2001. This was my first startup which I started. I dropped out of my 10th standard, moved to a place called Trivandrum in Kerala. That's how I started. Ran a .com startup from 2001 to 2005. Later this got acquired by Asianet, the South India-based media group. And I moved to Asianet for 2 years and then started my first fintech venture in 2007 called Cash Next. That got acquired by a Latin American company called Prepaid Masters. Then post that did another mobile payment startup called Near2 Wireless, which has to shut down. And then that's the time when the IBO group was launching PayU in India. So joined PayU as part of the initial 3-member team heading products for them. Then after PayU, then worked in few organizations. Then again started a payment gateway that got acquired by Citrus. Then Citrus got acquired by PayU, so I was back in PayU, and then Open started in 2017. So that's been mostly the personal plus professional journey I have.
Amazing. Maybe I should take a bit of a pause so that you can also grab your cup of coffee. But what I'm really curious to understand is, you've seen what the payments industry was, you know, not too long ago. It's in just a decade, there's been a sea change, enabling businesses like yours to innovate, to grow on to becoming unicorns, and to, of course, now see the future and predict the future as well. And, you know, businesses like yours are leading that change. Talk to us about perhaps the 2 or 3 biggest changes that you've seen in this past decade. Do you want to call it the decade of banking, of neo-banking, of really the fintech boom that we've seen?
I think I should put it this way. We call it as the FinTech 1.0 and FinTech 2.0.
Yeah.
Maybe like a jargonish term, but the FinTech
we are at FinTech 2.0 now?
2.0 is what? So FinTech 1.0 is probably from the early 2000s till 2010, when the digital adoption have actually started. The e-commerce have just started picking up, and towards the end of towards 2009, 2010, we have the Flipkarts of the world getting started. But the real change happened, and then there's also a time when the prepaid guidelines were come from RBI, etc. Now in the second half of this, that's from post 2000 mid of 2014, 2015 is what was the demonetization, then the democratization of the data by Geo, the usage of WhatsApp. That led to a lot of like businesses or consumers adopting digital, and naturally this actually accelerated the growth for digital payments, what we have seen with like the likes of UPI and all. And that also led to a lot of new innovation coming in terms of companies coming up with lending services, a lot of non-banks getting access to infrastructure to launch various fintech services. So that led to this fintech boom. I think that happened mostly in the last 3 to 4 years.
Okay, so you've been speaking about fintech 1.0 and 2.0. What does fintech 3.0 perhaps look like? What's that going to be like?
I think you will see a lot of services which is getting unbundled, because typically for every service you have to actually depend on a bank. And what has actually happened with this fintech boom is like every service which a bank used to offer now is being offered by like a fintech. Now earlier, like very few privileged companies get access to the banking systems to build financial services. But now what happened is that with things like open banking, wherein most companies, it makes it companies easier to actually launch fintech services in collaboration with banks. This led to a lot of disruption. And now based on these fundamentals, now going forward, you will see a lot of innovation in different fields, whether it is like in terms of consumer, in terms of the consumer, you'll see like more new innovations like personal finance management or better access to credit products. Similar is the case with happening on the SME side as well. So it's like a blank canvas, I would say, wherein the creativity and the innovation is the only driver for this growth basically.
Okay. Let's first continue talking about what Open does as a business. I understand that rate at which you are adding SMEs and MSMEs every day, that's the fastest anywhere in the country. What about your business model, help us understand, is so different and unique that you're able to attract these businesses?
So maybe I'll start explaining a little bit about what we do in a very simple thing. So we started Open in 2017. The primary problem statement we are actually trying to solve for is, today if you're an entrepreneur, you have to deal with a lot of different tools to manage your finances. You have a bank account, which is your core. Then you use a online payment gateway for collecting online payments. You have an accounting tool, you have a payroll, you have a tax software. All of the systems doesn't talk to each other, which means like at the end of the day, the business owner or the finance team has to spend a lot of time reconciling and making these different systems talk to each other. So we thought like if we can actually bring all of the services integrated into your bank account, because your bank account is where all the money come in and the money flows out. And if you can track that, okay, the 10 rupees coming to my account is from Sunda for invoice payment, and the 5 rupees that is going out is a salary payment, I can automate income and expenses. So we built a digital banking platform or a current account that helps businesses automate their finances by bringing together all of these tools together. So that's what we do, and it helps entrepreneurs save a lot of their time. It helps them better track of their receivables and their payables. So this is the real value add that we bring into this customers. So today we are adding close to like 1,50,000 new small businesses on the platform, and many times every month.
Okay.
And while we've always been called or termed as neo banking, I would say financial automation is always the hook for us to get these businesses on.
What exactly is neo banking?
I think there is two definitions for neo banking. So I'll start with the first definition is those financial technology companies or startups offering banking services, most of the times in partnership with a licensed bank. So the bank would offer the license, but the entire services would be offered by these neo banks. Some of these neobanks also had grown up and got their own licenses, especially in Europe and the US markets. So this is like a definition of what a neobank is.
So I'm curious, you are competing directly with the larger, both public and private sector banks. For an SME who's watching today's interview and they're saying, why should I go with someone like an Open versus the services that are being offered perhaps by businesses and banks that they've been working with for many years? What would you like to tell them?
So one, today's legacy banks, what they offer is a plain vanilla internet banking platform where you get a current account, you can see the balances, the statement, fund transfer. But what Open does is like, it brings all of your accounting systems. It offers an automated bookkeeping systems, or if you're using something like a Tally or Zoho, you can actually connect to that. You can connect to your payroll system. It automatically calculates the GST and the TDS. So it actually enhances your banking to help you save 4 to 5 hours of time every week. Plus, you can also link all your existing bank accounts into your platform, which means like even if you are already using a traditional bank account, you can actually have a unified view of like all the balances and the statements through the open platform as well. So it adds more value, and it helps you to focus on growing your business rather than worrying about managing your business finance.
The banking and the fintech space in the country is highly regulated. How do you sort of view that? And as someone who is using so much technology, and the criticism from a lot of the entrepreneurs that we speak with is that the government is not able to, government regulation as far as technology is concerned is not keeping pace with the change in technology. How are things changing for you?
I actually don't agree with the statement that our regulator is not progressive.
Okay.
I feel like in India we have very progressive regulator, especially from my experience. 2007, 2008 there was no regulation for the PPI guidelines, and RBI came up with the first regulations. Now I do believe that fintech entrepreneurs has to actually understand and still come up with workarounds in the sense like to work with the regulations. And we also have a regulator who is always like very positive in terms of the for example, like when you make representations, it may take time basically, but they always like relaxes these things as well. So I think it's a balanced approach the regulator is doing, and sometimes it puts a brake on, you may feel like it may put a brake on the innovation, but on the long term it will do a course correction both from the regulator and the industry itself.
Anish, so good having
Thanks,
you here.
Sunanda.
Time for a quick break. When we come back on the other side, in the hot seat is our second unicorn tonight, No Broker. Our second unicorn tonight is someone who's changing the way you buy, rent, or just lease your commercial and residential properties across the country. They're India's unicorn from the residential and the commercial housing and real estate market. I spoke to Akhil Gupta, the co-founder of No Broker, asking him about why they continue to remain successful when there are a lot of products and a lot of competition really for a business like theirs, and what it means to be a unicorn. Listen in. Thanks so much for taking the time to join us here on the Leaders of Tomorrow. We haven't had you before, so this is No Broker's debut really as far as the show is concerned. And I want to congratulate you for the fact that you turned unicorn end of last year. And from everything that I've been reading in our conversation as well, becoming a unicorn was not something that you set out to do, but congratulations on that status. And my question really is what turning unicorn really means for you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Sunanda. So I think being a unicorn is not a pride as such. It's more about solving the problem, and why we have been able to get this coveted milestone in our journey. We believe it's because the customer problem what we are solving. Because if you see the real estate transaction across the globe, not only in India, it happens with an intermediary, and the cost of intermediation, like when you are renting a house, it is 1 month each for an 11-month contract, which is 18%. When you are buying or selling a house, 2 to 3% from each side, which is like around 4 to 6% of the total transaction value. So for a crore rupee a house, you end up paying 4 to 6 lakh rupees as a brokerage, and that's atrociously high for the kind of service what you get. And we started No Broker with the idea that if we can use tech and if we can use product to solve this problem, do this business at scale, we'll be able to put money back into the pocket of our customers. And we have been able to do it successfully, and I think that's one of the reasons why we are here.
The Indian market in that sense, and the Indian real estate market, whether you're buying, whether you're selling, leasing, etc., Let's talk only residential. How different or similar is it to what's happening in the developed world? Because everywhere you see, you're necessarily and naturally going through a broker.
Yeah, so one primary difference in India is that there is no regulation with the brokers or with the real estate agents which are there. In the developed countries, you will find that there are regulations, there are certifications, there are courses what you need to do before you can become an agent who can buy, sell a house on behalf of the customer. So that's primary one difference. And second, in India, because there is a lot of jugaad mentality also, because we are a growing country, correct, and we have hundreds other problems to be solved. People do multitask, correct. So if you see brokers, they'll be doing a chai wala is a broker, a pan wala is a broker, and that's where the service gets hit, because the whole focus is on getting that high intermediation cost, and it's not the customer service, it's not the benefit of the customer, unlike the markets on the west side. But even there, globally, if you see, technology is taking over, and disintermediation of the real estate broker is happening like India.
Yeah, and you're saying chai wala, and when I lived in Bombay for many years, there used to be a pani puri seller outside my house. Pani puri was just a side hustle. He was always on the phone, and I think he was one of the most popular guys around, because he was a broker, and he used to get you all the prime localities and the prime houses in that area. Why did you feel that you could take on this challenge? Because in India, this is such a fragmented market. We're talking about these small guys who are, been in the business for so long. Why was this a problem in a market you wanted to solve?
See, so I was working before starting No Broker. My partners Amit and Saurabh, everybody was in corporate jobs, and after a while we got bored. Saurabh was running a startup of his own before this, and one day we were discussing over a breakfast that what to do next, and that's when Saurabh tossed the idea that why not this? Why not we make a platform like No Broker? And quickly, one thing which clicked my mind was that when during my IIT days, when I was in Bombay, to get a ticket back to home, a train ticket, we had to travel till CST, because that's where we used to get student discount, and then you have to book a ticket, Tatkal ticket, you have to stand in the queue. And then eventually we always ended up paying almost 50 to 100% of the ticket price to a broker or a agent who was getting us a ticket. Similarly, when we were going to movies, so there was a theatre called Shreyas in Ghatkopar. You go there, on the ticket window, there won't be any tickets, but there will be an outstanding outside. He will give you tickets at 35 rupees, ticket at 70 rupees. And over the time, by the time I passed on from IIT, there were platforms which came in, like there was a travel platform, there was an entertainment platform, Make My Trip, Book My Show. They disintermediated these agents, and they started charging you for the convenience. And there was no black on that particular thing. So that was the technology disruption which I experienced myself. I experienced the transition, and that was something which was there in my mind. And when we started discussing why this has not happened across the globe in real estate, we realized it's a tough business, because if you see all these businesses, it's B2C. There is a business which you are trying to sell to the consumer. But in real estate, what No Broker does, it's a C2C platform. There are consumers on both the end. There's a owner, there's a tenant, there's a buyer, there's a seller. So you need to build a marketplace where you need to have equilibrium. If you have enough demand and no supply, demand will not be happy. If you have enough supply, no demand, supply will not be happy. So that's why we said, okay, this will need a lot of tech. You need to know in which area do you need property at this point of time, so that you can run marketing campaigns on that particular area, or you can activate properties in that particular area. So we started small, started from Mumbai, and then expanded it slowly.
Okay, so then at this point I want to talk about the top trends that you're seeing in your market. You were talking about tech disruption, and let's really start with that. What you have done is completely disrupting this market, which was so unorganized and so fragmented earlier. And as the CTO of No Broker, just talk to us about how you've been able to bring everything onto this tech platform.
So I think the primary thing, or primary, I'll say, agenda of No Broker while designing technology, product, anything what we do, we have always kept customer in our mind. What exactly our customer will like, correct? And we have solved for the customer pain points. So even when we were building the platform, we said, how will the discovery of the houses happen in the platform? So we realized there is a different persona. When there is a guy who's married with kids, he is looking for a house, or he or she is looking for the house, they will want houses which will be closer to his kids' school. They will want basically they'll try to triangulate the house, wife's office, husband's office and kids school, and they'll try to take house at the best place. So we enabled that onto the platform. Then another thing which used to happen was when you are taking a house, you need to have the discovery, correct? Not only about the location, which happens via triangulation, but you also want to know the right price, because you don't want to get cheated. As I was telling you, in Mumbai, a two-bedroom house, good two-bedroom house, can easily be rented for 60,000-70,000 rupees. Come to Bangalore, it will be 30,000 rupees, 35,000 rupees. And let's say if you're moving from Mumbai to Bangalore, you have absolutely no idea of this, how do you do it? So those are the things which we enabled. So like if you see on No Broker, you can not only see the price trends, but we have something called Rentometer, with which will tell you that what is the right price, what you should be paying for this particular property. How many transactions happened in last month, last week, last few months, and at what price these transactions have happened, so that you can make the best choice about that particular thing.
If you had some advice for our entrepreneurs, what would you want to tell them?
So I think one thing which I personally feel, that at least in India there are thousands of problems which can be solved, correct, which are already existing. So pick a problem which really is a pain point for the customers. And personally, when I solve a problem, I look for three things: whether the product which I am building, is it going to bring a smile on customer face, like either it saves the money or time for the customer. When you are building, can you use technology so that you can scale faster? So basically there's a lot of automation around the thing which is there. And obviously whatever you're doing, it has to make money, because if there is no money out of a business, then it will not sustain for long.
All right. Thank you so much for your time here on the show.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Sunanda.